So you, as I mentioned, have had a perfect 100 for many, many years, and most people struggle to hit that even one time, but you've hit it consistently throughout. So right from the beginning, you were bought in. Tell us a little bit more about that. Did it click right away, or was that just something that you kind of over time figured out?
There's a learning curve for any new member. I mean, it just takes a minute, but it was a really big deal for me to earn this seat. I carried a big weight of responsibility that I wanted to do a good job for this chapter, and them saying yes to me, I was making a big yes to them. So that's what I dug into figuring out, and I've perfected that, and it's something that I can do. Actually, it's easy.
Yeah.
It really is. If you have a plan, it's easy.
Welcome to the Perfect 100, the podcast for BNI members who want to maximize their membership, deepen their impact, and grow their business through intentional networking. I'm your host, Tammy Zurak, a CliftonStrengths coach, longtime BNI leader, and one of the few members worldwide to maintain a perfect Power of One score. Each week, we'll explore the habits, mindsets, and everyday strategies of BNI members who are turning their membership into momentum. Hello and welcome back to the Perfect 100. I am your host, Tammy Zurak. I also hold the business coach seat in the East Memphis chapter. And if you've been listening, you know that this podcast is for helping everyone grow their business by working smarter through networking, leveraging your strengths, and creating measurable success in BNI. Today's guest was introduced to me by the managing director, Anna Rivers, who told me that she was the epitome of someone who gets it in BNI. And she is from Portland, Oregon. She is a realtor with decades of experience and a track record of leadership, not only in her chapter, but I don't think I've met anyone that has had a perfect 100 score since 2022, which is no small feat. So that's why I asked her to come here today and tell us her story. Before we dive in, I want to remind everybody to grab your free Perfect 100 networking tracker at theperfect100.com. It's a great way to go into a networking event with intention and track what you're doing so you get success. And you can combine that with your CliftonStrengths and really maximize all the things you're going to do when you're networking. But let's jump right into the conversation with Lisa Bradburn. Hey, Lisa.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure. So let's start right off with your 45 seconds so you can go ahead and tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Okay, here we go. Well, I am Lisa Bradburn. I'm a residential realtor in Portland, Oregon, and the principal broker of your own team at Premier Property Group. I believe that everyone deserves the opportunity to own a home, and that homeownership changes lives and builds legacies of stability, community, and financial health. With over 38 years of experience, which is a long time in the housing industry, including working alongside many builders and remodelers, I have a unique skill set that helps both buyers and sellers to maximize the value of their investments. I guide my clients with vision and attainable improvements that make properties shine in the marketplace, and I'm known for the quality of the inventory I market and sell. So if you're looking for results when it comes to buying or selling your next home, I'd love to have a chance to talk to you.
Awesome. Right on that money. All right. We like it.
Thanks.
So you said 30 some years in real estate. How about BNI? How long have you been? When did BNI enter your world?
Not until 2020. Remember that year? What a year.
I think that one's
The,
cemented on all of our brains.
I went out on my own to start my own team, and I did not even know what BNI was until a good friend called and an opportunity laid in my lap.
Okay, awesome. So you, as I mentioned, have had a perfect 100 for many, many years, and most people struggle to hit that even one time, but you've hit it consistently throughout. So right from the beginning, you were bought in. Tell us a little bit more about that. Did it click right away, or was that just something that you kind of over time figured out?
There's a learning curve for any new member. I mean, it just takes a minute, but it was a really big deal for me to earn this seat. Anybody in a BNI group knows that that realtor seat is a big deal, and they took a lot of time to vet and to interview. And so I carried a big weight of responsibility that I wanted to do a good job for this chapter, and them saying yes to me, I was making a big yes to them. So I had to figure out a strategy of how am I going to do this, not so that I can have a perfect score, but that I can keep my promise. So that's what I dug into figuring out, and I've perfected that, and it's something that I can do. Actually, it's easy. It
Yeah.
really is. If you have a plan, it's easy.
Exactly. Well, and I was looking at Lisa's, I have everybody send me their Power of One prior to, obviously, because I'm going to show it here in a minute. But you're not the only one with 100 in your chapter. It looks like you guys have a
Mm-mm.
high achieving chapter.
We do. This is the first month that we've had 3 people with a perfect 100 score on our last Power of One report, which is really exciting to see that. I There's normally 1 or maybe 2 of us, but we've got a 3rd person and over half of our chapters in the green, which is a really exciting goal.
Yeah. And when you've got 40 some members, that's also a really big thing. And I noticed that you didn't have a single member in the gray, which is also a big feat.
No, no, we coach up. It's a positive environment, and we want everybody to be getting all the benefits of their membership. That's why we do this.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you've also held multiple leadership roles. So I believe you're currently the vice president. Is that right?
Correct. This is, I'm heading into my 3rd term, not consecutively, of being the VP of our chapter, and I've also been the president of the chapter.
Okay, so give us one lesson now that you've been in leadership a bunch of times. Give us one lesson that you've learned being in leadership for the chapter that you think might also apply to running a business.
Mm. Positive attitude, which is one of our core values, goes a lot further than a punitive relationship with anybody. When you're leading people, you've got to be able to see the potential in them and coach them up so that they can reach their goals. And so that's exciting for me to see when that happens. So
Yeah.
that's how I approach it.
Okay, awesome. Well, and you mentioned you were against a number of realtors when the seat was open, and I don't know if everybody listening knows, but the realtor position, in my mind and lots of other people's minds, is kind of the crux of the chapter. Because if you don't have a great realtor, you're potentially missing out on a lot of opportunities. So, from your experience, does a realtor elevate or hold back, and what is that difference if that brings a realtor brings to the chapter?
The realtor has the opportunity, if you select wisely when you're picking a realtor, somebody that is well connected. And so I generate a lot of referrals for our chapter, of course, in our home services. And we've really collaborated strongly with intention. We have our own website. We've really tried to take the full essence of a power team and make sure we're being intentional with doing business with one another, and modeling that for the other contact spheres in our chapter as well of, hey, connect and do this in a way where you are able to generate those referrals within your contact sphere. And so those are our priorities, obviously, is working within that contact sphere first, and then looking for those other opportunities outside of that, not just within our own chapter's business, but who do they know that we need to know.
Yeah, and I think that's important when we have new chapters forming all the time, and choosing the right realtor really matters to everybody that comes after. We usually start the chapters with what we call the firm, finance, insurance, real estate, and mortgage. Those are the people that oftentimes can't get into a chapter because once they're in, they don't go anywhere. So, what would be the criteria you would recommend for somebody looking, whether it's a new chapter or maybe the seat has the opportunities come open for a seat in their chapter? What should they be looking for?
Somebody that is coming from a perspective of collaboration. You've got to be well connected and know people. You have got to be able to make those initiating relationships for other people. Hey, I know somebody you need to know. Let's make those connections. So when you're picking a realtor, you've got to ask those questions. How many people in home services are you already working with? Who do you know in home services that is not in our chapter? You know, we needed a plumber. Good luck finding a plumber, but we got one. Because fate and intentionality and paying attention. I met somebody that had a new budding business and they were looking to how to grow. That's very difficult to do with some of these trades. They're so busy, they don't have time to really put into coming to a meeting and all of the other things that we commit to when we're in BNI. So you really have to ask those questions. We had 7 applicants when I applied. 2 dropped out, and they panel interviewed 5 of us, and it really did come down to who knows the most people, who knows the most professionals that they can bring business into the chapter for us.
That's great. So they've got to be ready to party, so to speak.
Mhm. Yep.
They gotta show up with
Exactly.
all the right people and,
Right.
wanna the giver's gain, mentality, right, is
Exactly.
wanna help others. So, you also were a part of growing your chapter from 24 members to 40 plus members, and I think you told me your Thank You for Close Business went from $1 million to nearly $4 million. What role did you or your role play in helping that along?
I'm pretty enthusiastic about BNI. I really believe in the power of it. And so I think keeping my promise and being very gregarious about my approach and getting people excited about how they can jump on the bandwagon and do this with the chapter has been inspiring. I think people just want to follow that inspiration and they want their businesses to grow. And they saw my business growing and it did help my business to grow. And it's like, I want that too. So I think modeling that is so much of it. And then sharing strategies, how I did it and having lots of one-to-ones and saying, "Hey, how's your business going? And what can I do to speak into that and to help you figure out strategies for your own business?" Because at the end of the day, it's not about BNI. It's about our businesses and the health of our businesses. And that's what I love to be able to help people to see how can BNI be a part of your business plan so that your business can grow.
So you mentioned strategies, and strategy is my number one strength. Give us your best strategy for you said to give them the strategy to help them grow. Give us the best one you think you share often.
I think the hardest thing for any BNI member to do is to come up with enough people to invite. I think inviting visitors, you just have to do it once a month. But that is the single hardest thing. When I look through the region and I look at everybody else's traffic lights, their Power of One reports, gray all the way down. So what I did is I have a personal goal. Not only do I do my one-to-ones every week with people that are in BNI and in my contact sphere, but I have one-to-one a week with a business that is new to me, that is not in BNI, and I need to know more people. This is a math problem for most of us, is you kind of run through the list of people you know, and you're like, "Oh, I don't know anyone else to invite. I guess I don't have anyone else to invite." And I just see people do that for years,
Right.
inviting nobody. And so I have a plan for that. And it's not easy. I've got to leverage my LinkedIn and my Facebook, and I've got to really pay attention to who's out there that I haven't had coffee with yet. And I drink a lot of coffee over tables and get to know people and really decide, is this somebody that would be a good fit for BNI? Not everybody is. Is this a good culture for my chapter? Maybe they'd be good for another chapter that I know. So that's been my secret sauce, is one-to-one a week with somebody that is not in BNI, that is a business, small to medium business owner.
I love that. I'm in the chamber, the local, we have a couple local chambers, like I'm sure everybody
Okay.
does, and
Okay.
I don't know everyone in it. So, that is a great place to reach out to somebody who maybe a targeted, that's going to help your business, but maybe also you have a seat open in your chapter for.
Right.
Would be one good way, or even on social media. I know I could probably make a post like, who do I know that does this, that I'm looking for? Because we used to do that back in the olden days when we were trying to fill a seat. We would each pick a profession and say, okay, you post about this one, I'll post about that one. And you just ask the question, I'm looking for who do I know that, who's a great plumber, who's a great electrician, and then all your friends are gonna populate that post with all the potential people that could be somebody you might need for your chapter. But I love that coffee approach is like, "Hey, let's get together, I'm just trying to extend my network," and for you as a realtor, they definitely are gonna wanna meet with you, right?
Absolutely.
So that's awesome. So how about for chapters where maybe the realtor is struggling a little bit? What would a difficult conversation, or how could that difficult conversation be had with said realtor who is maybe not as engaged as we'd like them to be, or not kind of working all the channels that we would want them to work in a BNI chapter?
I think we have to get a lot more comfortable with honoring bold conversations to really find out what's behind that. What's holding them back? Maybe they look outgoing, but they're actually kind of shy. Maybe they just need some encouragement, or they're going through something. This business is a hard business, and we can lose our confidence just like anybody else. So I think remembering that we're people and we're all out here doing the best that we can, and um, I think sometimes the expectation is for the realtor in the chapter to be the driver because we do drive a lot of referrals, but um, we need other people to run alongside of us too. And so I just think sometimes just having that good heart to heart talk of, hey, what's going on? How can we help you help us? And just ask those deeper questions instead of, ignoring it and watching somebody suffer in
Right.
silence,
Well,
you
and
know?
if they suffer, we all suffer. So,
Right.
that's great advice for really anybody in any chapter. Right? We just had our chapter success meeting on Wednesday, and we're looking at who needs help, and that's a really great way to the numbers are just part of the story, right? Is
Right.
we look at those reports and we're like, oh, this one's not, I'm waving my wagging
Hmm.
my finger
Yeah.
for those of you only listening.
Right.
This one's
Right.
got a problem, and we're immediately they're not doing what they need to be doing, but there might be more behind that. So,
Yeah.
having somebody ask the question, "How's it going?"
Yeah. Are you okay?
Right.
You know, are you
Yeah.
okay? We have our power team meetings every month, and my agenda is what do you have, what do you need, and what do you want? And just having those honest dialogues of what's really good. What's your struggle this week? Who do you need to hire? What do you need to hand off? How can we encourage you and get deeper into each other's businesses to really have a real time experience with them versus hearing about a major problem 2 months later? That should never be happening in our chapter. This is our work family. We
Right.
should know what's going on. You know,
Yeah, love that. Who's on your power team? How many people are on your power team?
I think right now we're around 15, 16. I think the one thing we're looking for right now is an electrician, which is as hard to get as a plumber, believe it or not.
Right.
But we've got so many rich tradesmen in our chapter and in our power team, and women too, not just the boys. So it's very balanced, and it's wonderful to work with them.
So for those that are listening and don't know what a power team is, maybe you're new or you just haven't heard of the concept in wherever you are. Typically, a power team is where you assemble people who think of where your client might go before you or your client might go after you, and you all work together and you meet outside of the meeting. So it's a separate meeting where you sit down and do what Lisa said is, ask what are they going for? Can we partner up? Typically there might be a target list of clients that we're really trying to work with or companies, whatever that looks like, depends on your power team. But you can strengthen numbers. And we all know everyone somewhere in BNI is connected to someone. So,
That's right.
coming up with that target list of, oh, wow, I'd really love to have this one as a client. And then we
Hmm.
bring it back to the chapter and suddenly now we have a new contact. So I
Exactly.
love that you guys are doing that. All right, let's roll over to the Palms report. Well, actually, we'll look at the power of one first. So, you have as we have already said, perfect 100. So there is not tons to talk about with that one. You are hitting on all cylinders in the green
Hmm.
all the way across. So good job
Hmm.
and congratulations to you.
Thank you.
All right, and then the Palms report, which is what I said, or was going to say anyway. The Palms report. So you've given me 14 weeks of things to look at here. So absences are 0. Referrals given inside are 28. Referrals given outside are 44. Referrals received inside 5. I'm trying to see without my glasses. Referrals received outside 6. Visitors 3. One-to-ones 43. Thank you for closed business given $184,489 and CEUs 22. So tell me about what stands out most to you on that report.
Well, I definitely am able to refer a lot more than I mean, ratios, right? When you're in a big ticket world, you have to have the right expectations coming into this as a realtor. I'm not going to get the same number of returns as what I give. I don't even expect that. In fact, I'm at the point in my BNI career where if I got no referrals, I would still do this because the power of the relationships for me with my clients is so valuable and means so much to them that it's worth it just right there to have those referral partners that I know, like, and trust are going to do an excellent job for me. So those ratios are very different from each other, and yet that doesn't bother me in the least because it's the reward is so great for me in so many other ways.
Join the Art Academy in Memphis. Master the skills needed to create stunning, realistic oil paintings. With expert instruction, you'll refine your craft. Enroll today at artacademyofmemphis.com. Yeah, I love that. I always say to new people that I'm meeting is I know everyone. When I'm working with clients at the end of whatever the work that we do together is, I will ask them who do they need to meet, and they kind of look at me funny, like, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, you're in business. I'm in business. I know lots of
Mhm,
people. Who do you need to meet?" And
mhm.
they're like, "Oh," and
Right.
inevitably there's somebody, right? So, and I generally know somebody.
If I don't, I will, and
Yeah,
we'll find them.
exactly. I have an app on my phone that lets me search all the BNI people in, this area and beyond if necessary. So, we all have that app. So it's a great resource to be able to be the person who connects everybody. And that goes a long way when you can give someone the right person or at least great options to choose from, versus, the masses out there who you have no idea what you're getting into.
Absolutely. I just referred a client to a realtor in Northwest Arkansas, and I that's in BNI, and I found a BNI realtor in Northeast Oklahoma. So, you just make those phone calls and you've got this powerful device in your hand with this app that you're connected to the whole wide world. Um, I don't know that they'll ever have a referral for me, but gosh, it felt really good to go find somebody out there that could take my client and take good care of them.
Yeah, I love that. And have you, when you were deciding which realtor, because we all know there were probably a few, how did you make that decision when you were looking through the app to decide this one or that one? Were there any kind of thought processes that kind of led you to one versus another?
I looked at their social media. I made that phone call. I have a really good instinct and a gut check for when you're having those conversations. Did they respond right away? How long did it take me to make that connection? Are they going to follow up right away? I mean, just everything was right on. And I expect that. If I'm reaching out to a BNI member, I know they've been trained. And so my level of expectation of them is high, and I'm rarely disappointed.
Yeah, that's we try to instill in people that it's important to first of all make sure your profile is completely filled out. You have,
Yes,
all the things ticked, and then if I'm a business coach, so and I work with people on how to build their brand and their business. So
right.
I'm ask them to pay attention to what they're posting because if you we live in a world where one thing can turn somebody the wrong direction, and
That's
so
right.
you've got to be mindful of all of that, and people are making assessments on every single thing. So,
All the time.
yes, you gotta be aware of all that. All right, and let's get into your strengths because that's exciting. So, this was your first time taking the Clifton Strengths. I'm going to ask you about that in just a second. Let me tell everybody what they are first. So, your number one is a developer. You recognize and cultivate the potential in others. You spot the signs of each small improvement and derive satisfaction from evidence of progress. Number two is achiever. You work hard and possess a great deal of stamina. You take immense satisfaction in being busy and productive. Number three is responsibility. You take psychological ownership of what you say you will do. You're committed to stable values such as honesty and loyalty. Your number four is belief. You have certain core values that are unchanging. Out of these values emerge a defined purpose for your life. And number five is connectedness. You have faith in the links among all things. You believe there are few coincidences and that almost every event has meaning. So, any surprises there for you when you got your assessment back?
I was surprised that developer came in higher than the achiever. And I think it's because that's just something that just organically happens with me. And I don't put a lot of intentional thought into, I'm going to, do this thing. It's just comes out of my natural work ethic and my drive. And so I would have thought achiever would have been reversed from that, but it all rang very true. When I read all of the summaries on each of those, I was like, oh yeah,
Well, and they
that feels like
can
me.
Yeah, well, that's great, and they can be, they could be extremely close. So one might edge out the other one today, and tomorrow it's the other. You really are operating in your top 10 at
Mm,
most of the time, and even sometimes 11 and 12 are the kind of the supporting characters. Now you only have your top 5, but you can unlock the rest if you
mhm,
like.
sure.
But it is people say that a lot is they expect to see this or maybe one higher than the other, or they felt like one that didn't show up was maybe one of their things, and it probably is. You generally, especially as you go through your life, you start to feel some things happening that you just know you're good at, or people
Mhm,
compliment you on. What's nice about having the assessment is it gives you direction, right? Is it kinda gives you the ability to we call it, name it, which is what this is, and then as a coach, I help people aim it and claim it. So, what are we gonna do with that? So, that said, you which of those shows up most, do you think, when you're building relationships, whether that's in BNI or just in your business?
I would say that third category of responsibility. My word is my bond. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm gonna do it. If I say I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna be there, and hopefully I'm a few minutes early. It is really important to me that you know that what I say I'm going to do, I follow up and do, and that your relationship with me is important to me. And that can be challenging at times because I've got the same 24 hours in the day as everybody else. So I have to understand where my capacity is and make sure that I'm also not over committing myself so that I can actually follow through and do the things that I say I'm going to do. So
Yeah, I
that's a
have
foundation for me with my relationships.
Nice. I have high achiever too, so I get that. It's, you can work all the time, so, it's the kind of doing the things you say and being responsible for the things that, accomplishing the things that you want, but the living to your word is really kind of for a lot of us, and again, it kind of falls back to BNI is when you say you're gonna do something and you don't do it, then, I think that's just in general, it doesn't have to apply to just BNI in life. If you're meeting with people and you've promised something, you're going to be a little less successful if you don't deliver on what you've said. So,
Absolutely. If I'm not following through with you, am I going to follow through with the client that you refer to me?
right,
Right. I mean,
exactly.
it directly reflects on your credibility.
Yes. And belief and connectedness, those are your 4 and 5. They suggest you see purpose and meaning in what you do. How have those strengths help you lean into community and say yes when opportunities or challenges felt intimidating to you?
Such a good question. So I made a vow to myself when I started my own team in 2020 and I said yes to this. I said, I'm going to say yes to every hard thing that comes my way and just lean into it. I'm gonna challenge myself and not let my own fears or insecurities hold me back from growth. So in doing that, that's something that I carry into relationships and coaching up other people of you can do this. Your capacity is bigger than you think that it is. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you can do more. And that's really what I want to bring to people to help them to grow when I'm in those building those relationships with them, especially as referral partners.
Okay. And when you brought your daughter into your business, I'm guessing that that was some teachable things for you as that transition happened. How has that shaped how you do things today?
Man, so every mom out there that has a daughter, there are just all of these amazing dynamics that happen when
Or
you're working
every
with
daughter that has a mom.
every daughter that has a mom. She's got to work with me. She's amazing, and there are just those moments where we have to go. Okay, we are we've got to separate the familial thing here, this familiar part of this. We've got to really look at each other as business partners. And she challenges me and I challenge her. And watching her grow in her own real estate business, she's an amazing realtor in her own right. She also has been the president of her own BNI chapter and is currently the VP of her own chapter. So we get to
Nice.
talk about that a lot. And I think just it's good to have somebody that sharpens you, that iron sharpens iron thing. And I don't think anyone can sharpen you more than your own family,
Right.
and you're making that decision to do business together, and it really makes me more self-aware in relationships outside of that, you know, of okay, that bugged her. I don't even have somebody else. So, it's good. It's really it's very helpful for me actually.
Yeah, I think it's a little it can be a tightrope sometimes, right? As my husband has a business and I help support him in his business. He runs it, but I can't help myself. I'm a coach. I look around and see, and I'm a student of his business. He teaches how to paint, people how to paint. So, and I'm one of those people. So I kind of experience the business, but then also give feedback.
Mhm. Right, right.
So I think it's a tightrope a little bit sometimes, but you won't get the feedback that your family's very comfortable giving you the hard feedback, generally
Yes,
speaking.
that's important. I don't need people just telling me what I want to hear. There are I'm a very driven person and I'm a boss lady and I need to be spoken into just like everybody else does. I don't want to be running roughshod anywhere. And so yes, those honest conversations they're super important and I want to have those with other people.
Yes, yes. Well, an achiever kind of well, and you have developer, so your achiever developer, you're always trying to do the thing, get to the top, and your developer, you're trying to develop potential in others. So sometimes we
Mhm.
turn that back on ourselves, right? As we have to look
True.
in the mirror and say, "Okay, self, this is that thing that keeps popping up
Mhm.
that your family will tell you, but the people that work for you are a little maybe
Won't.
less inclined to say
Right.
because we all have that sort of fear thing. That's actually it's one of my top strengths is command, and where that's always paid off for me, but also been very challenging is command is willing to take the hit.
Mm, uh-huh.
When I work corporate for, a couple of decades, oftentimes what starts at the top rolls downhill and it doesn't gather momentum in a good way. I've always been the person that was willing to raise my hand and say, "Hey, this isn't what I think you were intending." And sometimes that means the person who was sending that thing down the hill might be your boss or their boss,
Right.
having those tough conversations. So it's good to build a team of people with different strengths. And, I
Mhm.
think developer tends to look at each individual person and, don't let go of moving each of them along. How many people do you have on your team?
There are currently 3 of us, and then
Okay.
I'm also a mentor with our brokerage for brand new realtors, and so I partner with people that are just getting their businesses off the ground, and so I have to apply a lot of those skills to them as well. I know my partners, I know how they work. We've been together long enough that we can really anticipate and understand each other, but these new ones that come, it's a brand new thing every time, and how do they learn? What do they need to feel motivated? What's gonna build them up? What's gonna unintentionally tear them down? That's constantly cycling every time I take on a new one.
Yeah, love that. And knowing that you're good at those things and if you have the opportunity and if anybody's listening, I'll just remind you that you can take the Clifton Strengths. I've actually added it to if you download the tracker, which is free, you can take the assessment after that. It's on theperfect100.com. So you can get it through Gallup, but you could also just get it through me. And we're in BNI, so that would be a referral. So you can go ahead and take that and get that. But it's so useful. It's been so helpful for
Mhm.
me over the years to know exactly what I bring to the table and then knowing what other people, well, not my whole chapter, about half, almost three-quarters of my chapter have taken the assessment. So it's really cool to be able to see each other's strengths, and we have a smattering across all the different things. So when we struggle, I think that I was just at the Chamber of Commerce. They had a luncheon, and I was talking about starting. And they asked me to be the president. So they asked me to speak about it, and I was saying something along the lines of, when you first start your business, you can feel really alone. You're sort of, it's your dream. You want it to work, but you're all by yourself. Generally, a lot of people start their business as a solopreneur. So you're plugging away at your business, and maybe you work out of your house, you don't even see people. So you're suddenly now, if you went from corporate to solopreneur, you used to have all these people, and now you've got no one. And I think BNI gives us that community that of
Yes.
different sets of people that we can fall back on that will support us, which is amazing, right? Yeah. So, with decades of experience in your industry, both in housing and new construction, what's the biggest mistake you see buyers or sellers make that is actually costing them in the end?
Not taking the time to prepare properly ahead of time, whether you're buying or selling. And we've actually developed classes for home buyers, not just first time. It doesn't matter if you bought a home 10 years ago, you do not know how to do it now because things have changed. And then a home sellers class as well. Prior preparation is everything. You could put anything on the market 3, 4 years ago and it would sell instantly. That is not reality now. You cannot overprice and undercondition a home. And so when I'm working with buyers or sellers, helping them really, and I said this in my 45 second, to be able to maximize their value when they buy that home, what can they do with it over their years of ownership to really make it worth a lot more with achievable goals. And if you're selling your home, what can you do ahead of selling the property to help build its value so that your price and condition match? So I spend a lot of time and money with my sellers on pre-inspections, with specialty inspections for sewer scope, radon testing, things like that that are important in our market here, to make sure that before we ever go to the market, I'm like, why are we losing sleep worrying about the home inspection tomorrow? The buyer's worrying, the seller's worrying. Gosh, I hope they don't find something wrong in the crawl space. I'm like, stop that. We don't have to worry about this anymore. Let's find out ahead of time and fix it. So, prior preparation, whether you're buying or selling, you've got to spend the time to make sure that your ducks are in a row and you're ready to go.
I love that. We used to have in my old chapter, we had a home inspector, and he couldn't be like we couldn't in the process the way the laws work here, we couldn't choose him if we were buying or selling a house. It had to be
Mm,
has to go through the proper channel. So I can't just say I want this guy. It has to because they don't want you to be for obvious reasons. They don't want you to be maybe bribing somebody to say oh it's
sure.
perfect and it's not, but I elected to have him come to my house and do an inspection because we're not selling it, but I wanted to know we bought it from the builder. So I really wanted to have a better understanding of all the things. And the value at the time we bought it has changed significantly. It's gone up since we've been here almost 17 years now. So when we bought it, it was different market than and that's
Right.
going to change all the time, right? There's no
Right.
set kind of, it's that real estate feels like it's a roller coaster at any given moment.
It is. It is, and the condition of properties is really at the foundation of what we do, when we're helping guide clients if they're gonna buy that home or sell that home. I tell people all the time, "Do not wait until you're gonna sell your home to get another inspection done. You should be inspecting your home every 3 years, at least, because these are sticks and dirt. This is not a Lego built in a factory. It is built by human hands in a pile of dirt, and it's got deferred maintenance. I've had brand new homes that needed things to be done. The sewer line didn't get connected. I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff. So, um, taking care of your property and your exterior envelope of your home and keeping water and moisture out of the house affects everything. And I cannot talk about that enough. I'm passionate about that.
Okay, great. Well, I'm glad we gave people something to think about. Um, a lot of realtors or people, just business owners in general, struggle with articulating their unique edge. What sets you apart as a realtor?
My background in construction and working with so many builders and remodelers, I really do understand how a home gets put together. I try to stay as current with that as I can. I have a lot of one-to-ones with our trades professionals to understand. Yesterday, we just had a class with a chimney and fireplace company that talked to us all about how they inspect and all the different points of inspection for a chimney. Who knew? I can't unsee this information now. It is going to definitely inform when I'm working with clients. Hey, you need to take a deeper look at that. Um, I feel a strong sense of responsibility to make sure that I'm not a contractor. I've got to stay in my lane, but that I know who to direct people to and I can see telltale signs. I think that's a skill set that I've built over 30 plus years that most people don't have. I've been a realtor for 28 years, but I've been in the housing industry for almost 40 years. My dad was a custom home builder. I've just grown up in this industry, and it's what a blessing to be able to have all of that experience to draw on. It really does come right back to my clients.
Staying ahead in a world driven by technology is key. At Wisdom Integrators, we don't just solve problems, we create opportunities. Wisdom Integrators, connecting your world, solving your problems.
Yeah, when we moved here, the realtor that we actually, because I was corporate at the time, we went through. They owned a company that was you could elect a realtor through, and we got lucky. Ours was really good and had a similar background to you. He came from a building background and then decided to be a realtor, and he really saved our bacon. We hit some snags in the closing process, and because he was walking through the house with us. We said we bought it from the builder, and he's looking at things going, this is a solid house. And I appreciate that he knew the builder, and just looking at everything, he's like, sometimes, like you said, when you buy in our neighborhood, some of the houses were built by the son of the person that we bought our house from,
Hmm.
and the
Hmm.
son's, what are the right words? I'll use responsibility. His responsibility to his clients was not the same as the dad.
Right.
He did not build as solid of homes as the dad did, and so we felt very good and we heard that just from all the people in the neighborhood, and knowing that A, he had that knowledge, and B, in the closing process when we had some challenges, he had built
Uh-huh.
relationships that
Right.
meant we were able to overcome those challenges without any kind of issues, so that was amazing. You are also a real estate negotiation expert and senior real estate specialist. So can you share a story where those skills changed the outcome for a client?
Absolutely. Um, I have a client right now. I did my SRES, the Senior Real Estate Specialist certification, just this last year. And it's interesting when you make a decision to get a certification, you kind of are leaning into something and you don't know what that's going to lead to. I was newly into that certification, and all of a sudden, all of these senior clients started coming to me. They didn't know I had that certification, but it's just kind of like the universe is pulling opportunity towards you because you said yes to something. And I have one particular client that came to me from a referral from one of our contractors in our chapter, our roofer, and not a great big house, not a big expensive home, not necessarily in the most convenient neighborhood for me to get to, but I really want to honor those referrals when they come. And I said yes to her and went and sat with her. And the technology and the daunting task of moving after you've lived somewhere for a long time and all of your things, and she's alone, and just thinking a lot of different hand holding. Having gotten that certification really helped me have the mindset that I needed to align myself with her pace, not my go, go, go pace, but what does she need? And then what happened was I received that referral from our roofer, and subsequently we had 6 other referrals that were driven into our chapter just from her. And she needed every single one of those things. And again, thank you for sending him. He was wonderful. Thank you for doing that. That's exactly what I needed. And so we did all the work ahead of time. We navigated some kind of challenging things that needed to happen, and we put that house on the market, and we got multiple offers just this last weekend, in about 3 days on market. And the sense of relief for her, and I had to go drive to her senior center and sit in her apartment with her and help her navigate how to sign things. And it was, a big deal. Um, that just speaks volumes, I think, to just the power of having those referral partners in BNI and what I could do and bring to my client because I did lean into those certifications and be able to do that.
Yeah, love that too. The speaker at the thing I was just at was talking about, the biggest difference in um one person versus the next is if you come to things with the mindset of helping the other person, right?
Mhm,
And I
mhm,
think that the certification doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to do that, but the certification, I'm certified as a Clifton Strengths coach. You can do Clifton Strengths, you can teach people Clifton Strengths without the certification, but the investment in, becoming that says, okay, you care about delivering this in a way that is meaningful to the person on the other end. And for me, I have some of the same things as you. I want to be able to be the best that give the person I'm dealing with the best experience that I can possibly deliver because it's going to change their life, right?
Totally.
You're putting somebody either in or out of a home that is, that's what are they? So the most stressful things in life is selling your house and moving and what was the other one? There's one more. I can't think what the
Probably death and taxes or
yeah.
having a wedding.
Yes, yeah, there's very few things there's some really big ones, and real estate's one of them. So, yeah, and I like to feel like starting a business is one of them,
Huge. It's
right?
huge.
When you
Yes.
make that jump from working for someone else to working for yourself, it's a
Right.
pretty stressful thing.
Yeah.
Um, so you've also built a business that not only supports your family, but elevates those around you. What mindset shift do you think is most powerful in helping you grow both as a realtor and as a leader?
I think I mentioned it earlier, just being willing to say yes to any challenge because you're going to learn through it. And I watch um, certain generations that are younger than me have a more limited view of capacity. And I have just a mindset that I don't quit. I might pivot, I'll make big moves, I'll take risks, but I don't quit. And if things get hard, I really do try to intentionally look at that as an opportunity for my own personal growth and my business growth. And so consequently, doors just continue to open for me because I think it just an open spirit and an open heart to say, I'm willing to try. Am I scared? Absolutely. There are many things that come along that it's like, oh man, I don't know. And I just find that it's never as hard as I thought it was going to be when it's done. And I always walk away having gotten stretched just another inch higher in my business. And that opens up another door. So
Yeah.
that's what I want to encourage people to do is just don't limit yourself. Don't make yourself smaller. You you have an unlimited capacity to go anywhere you want to go. I really believe that.
Yeah, I agree with you. A lot of people get stuck working in their business instead of on their business because I
Mm,
think we all set out with I'm really good at this thing, whatever this thing is. And, if you look around the room in a BNI chapter, you see a whole bunch of people that were like, I got this thing, I'm good at this thing. So
mhm.
how do I make this thing a business? And they're busy doing the thing instead of building the business. And since you've grown, it's not just you, it's others you have a team of people. What's one practice or system that you've adopted to keep you focused on growing versus working just transactionally?
Being willing to delegate and let things go, trust other support providers skills and talents to do things that I'm not great at. I am not a website specialist. I am not a graphics designer. I don't want to get bogged down with that stuff. So I pay, I write the checks, I do that. And I also got a business coach. All of you out there, talk to Tammy. Um, Business coaching is essential and it's not just for big businesses. You've got to have somebody that can take an objective look at your systems and processes and say, I think you could strengthen yourself right here or right there. And um, a friend of mine once said, the minute you think you are right, you stop thinking. And I think we can get a very limited purview on what we're doing. And we're like, this is the way it has to work. I can't do it any other way. And that's just comfort level, but that doesn't mean that that's right. So,
Right.
working in your business, there's still elements of working in my business that I love. I don't turn a lot of times the team leader just turns their clients over to the next person. You go catch the fish and then somebody else cleans and cooks it. I still like to clean and cook the fish, but I don't need to do some of the other peripheral things in my business,
Right.
like building websites and graphics and
Right.
stuff like that. I hire those things so that I can be present to my client and actually do the negotiation and help them come with those strategies and implement my talents. That's what makes this job fun for me. I don't want to give all that away. So there's a growth point for me where I don't need to be so big that I can't do that anymore. So what is the right balance?
Yeah, that's a great point. I just got through working with a client who wants to scale, and It's just him and looking kind of across all the things, he's the same kind of, I want to keep doing some of this stuff, but I can't do all this stuff. I can't build the
Right.
net, catch the fish, cook the fish, eat the fish.
Mm-mm.
Some of it has
Nope.
to, but if you don't even understand how to build the net or that you even need a net, or what the net looks like,
Right.
or if you're going to prepare the fish, how you make it so it's delicious on the other end, all of those things
Right.
are different, can potentially be different people. So I love that. That's, you're kind of picking and choosing the things. And I always like to say, I'm teaching all the steps you have to have. But that doesn't mean you have to do all the steps, right? You can't,
Right.
you're not, no one person is going to be good at doing all of I haven't met the person, maybe somebody exists, but I have not met the person that can manage all the things, all the balls in the air well, and not
No,
drop a single one where
for
somebody
sure.
somewhere isn't going to get, the satisfaction that you would wish they had had in your experience. So that's a great thing you talked about there. So what's exciting to you coming up in your business now? Like looking for any projects, directions on the horizon, anything coming up that you're excited about?
This is really simple, but yeah, I am having so much fun with it. Post-pandemic world, there's some traditions in real estate that kind of fell by the wayside. One of which is in our part of the country, broker tours, where we have a common day and time where we go look at other brokerages listings and we go out there and network with other realtors. And that really ended during the pandemic, and it's not as organized and it's just been kind of sporadic. And I'm like, no, we're going to bring this back. I'm an old realtor and I know this is important. And so I started calling every brokerage and it's like, we're doing this. This is when we do it. We don't need to overthink it. Just if you're putting houses on the market, let's hold them open at this day and time. And we're going to get in the car with groups of realtors and we're going to go see each other's listings. And we're going to go find out what the inventory looks like. And we're going to give feedback so that those realtors can talk to their clients and give good, recommendations on maybe price, condition, things like that. Oh my goodness, it's so much fun. And it's starting to catch on. So we've been really putting a concerted effort after this. So I guess it's a simple thing, but it's just like it's the party's growing. And so I'm just putting that weekly effort into it. And it's a great way to build relationship too.
Yeah, well, and just looking at your strengths again, of your five, two of them are relationship building and the other three are executing.
Yes.
So, not even a big surprise that that's the way you
No.
want to go. Well, and it sounds like BNI on wheels almost, right? Is
Yes. Yes.
just for
I
realtors.
like that. I love that.
I love ingenuity, and what's old is new again. You're not old,
Right.
you're seasoned.
Yes. There you go.
I've always felt like, I've been around for a long time and I've heard a lot of things many times over. And oftentimes you forget it's always good to go for the certifications, go to the trainings, because even if you get that one thing that you were like, I used to
Right.
do that thing. Why am I
Right.
not doing that thing? I was successful
Exactly.
doing that thing. And somehow you slid off of that. And now you're like, oh, and you have a verver for whatever that word is to bring that new thing back. So whatever gets you going is a good thing.
It's fun. It's really fun.
So what do you hope that your legacy will be, whether it's in real estate or through BNI? What do you hope to leave behind?
I think that you really can have it all as a business owner. I really do. And I think that giving yourself permission to make the right connections and take the time for yourself that you need, have enough people around you that give you life, surround yourself with positive people and lean into your strengths. Don't spend so much time in your life comparing yourself to everyone else. That is a fun sucker. Um, and all of the self-help things that really focus on your weaknesses and trying to build from your weak places, that is just not fun. And it's it's just it's not. It's discouraging. It's like just lean into what you really love and get so good at that and then find people to do the things that you're not good at. I am not a tax accountant and I don't like math, so bookkeeping is not my thing.
Right.
I have great resources for that, and it makes me so happy, and then I go do and spend my time with the people that I wanna be with, and it
Yeah.
it works. It all comes around.
Yes, all great points. And I have to, because you said it, the focusing on your weaknesses. Gallup has done lots. That's all Gallup does is study workplace, everything. Essentially, they measure
Mm,
everything, track everything, and
uh-huh,
focusing on your weaknesses, which is what typical corporate type of situations. Now, I feel like it's changing a little bit, just being driven by the millennials who are.
uh-huh,
It's kind of a big shift in how work gets done now,
uh-huh.
but if we're focused on what we're not good at, we're not you can only marginally improve that, but if you focus on what you're great at, you can exponentially kick the pants off of everyone.
That's right. And it's just a much more enjoyable way to live your life
It
and
is.
do the things that you really love to do.
Yes, and other people come to you for those things, and, that's why we become like magnets, for all the good stuff, so that's a good thing. So, the last guest left a question for you, and that question was, "What is the hill you're willing to die on?" So, you often hear the saying, "Are you willing to die on that hill?" They wanna know what your hill is, and so, for instance, he became a fiduciary because he wasn't willing to compromise his advice to clients just for a commission. So what is the hill that you're willing to die on despite somebody wanting you not to?
That's really good. I am willing to not buy the listing, which means I am willing to tell you the truth and what you need to know, even if you decide to go with a realtor that's going to tell you the price that you want for your house. I'm gonna I'm gonna tell you the truth, and I'm gonna get you to that point of success. So I'd rather be misunderstood, um, than and do the right thing than just going after that dollar. I would totally agree with that.
Taking bad business. Yeah, I always.
Won't do it.
Right. Yeah, I've been in sales my whole career, and I may or may not. I think I said this before on the podcast, but I've often, not often, but I've definitely had opportunities where someone wasn't ready for the service that we provided, and if you're not either open-minded enough or you don't have the structure, infrastructure, readiness, mindset, all the things that you need to have to implement changes. I've done a lot of different things
Uh-huh.
over the years, but you have to be if you can't hear the truth,
Right,
and you're not ready to take on, you're gonna have to do some which is I've had a client say, "Wait a minute, you're not willing to take my business?" I'm like, "No, you're not ready, and you're gonna
right,
fail you're gonna hire me,
right.
you're gonna fail, and then you're gonna say it's my fault." Um, and that is not the way this works, is I am the
No,
expert, and I am willing to tell you that you should do these things where other people are just trying to get your bucks, and that's,
right.
not worth it. So,
No,
yeah, it's
no,
a good thing.
it's not. I want good outcomes for my clients.
Right, or anybody really, yeah. So, if you could leave listeners with one guiding principle about business, networking, or life, what would it be?
Mm. Keep a positive attitude and be honest with yourself. Those are the 2 things.
Be honest with yourself. What does that mean to you?
Be willing to look at your own areas where you need to grow, Like I said, the minute you think you're right, you stop thinking. So, be open to growing, being open to change. Continual lifelong learning is essential. That's why I think BNI is such a great fit for me. The core values just completely align. I wanna run an ethical business, and because I know when I do that, everybody else around me is gonna have a great experience too.
Great, love that. Well, thank you for being so open and sharing all your wisdom with us. It was lovely having
Yeah.
you here.
So fun.
Awesome. All right. And thank you to the listeners for joining us today. Remember to get that tracker. I've already mentioned it a couple of times, and you can get that assessment if you like on the Clifton Strengths so you know what your strengths are. If this conversation added value for you, please share it with a friend or a business owner who you think might benefit from it. And don't forget to, subscribe because that also helps me. And if you're a BNI member, remember to mark off that CEU credit because you do get an hour one credit for this. I hope you had a great time, and we'll see you next time on The Perfect 100. Thanks for listening to The Perfect 100. If today's episode sparked a new idea or inspired you to show up differently in your chapter, share it with your team. And be sure to subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And if you're curious about your own Clifton strengths and how to bring out the best in yourself or your chapter or your business, head to TammyZurak.com to learn more about building your superpowers into everything you do. Keep showing up, keep connecting, and keep building your perfect 100.